GearNetwork.com.
The following is a presentation of the Gear Radio Network.
So, Fat Man.
So, Sleazy.
Oh, my goodness. This is the first time in a long time we actually have a part 2.
So, we were trying to keep shit tight, and it got away from us.
Like your grandma's asshole.
She's dead, dude. You like whatever you want to like. I got no qualms about that.
Well, that's good news. Well, let's talk about AEW All Out Part 2 on The Wrestling Show.
Casino Battle Royal for the number one contendership for the AEW Women's title. I'm not going to name everyone who was in it, but with 22 minutes, Ken gave this 3 stars. So Ruby Riott comes out as Ruby Soho, and she wins. So wins and losses matter.
No, they don't.
Yay!
That might okay. I'll jump into this.
I had to put that in there just be a dick, but it was better than I thought it was.
Probably the best women's battle or like casino battle royale they've had.
Yes.
So to me, it was good. Ruby was not really surprised. We kind of knew that was coming.
Sure.
Enjoyed it though. Got to see her work with everybody. Didn't think she would go over though. So I thought Nyla was going to get it.
No,
I for some reason I see Nyla and I was just
when it
they hold her to a pedestal.
Why?
I'm not getting into that right now.
She's the Nia Jax of AEW.
Wow.
I don't think so. I don't like that shit either, by the way. I'm not trying to get us off topic, but
I don't know, but like, I just think she's dangerous in the ring. There's really no evidence. It just
I will sit here and defend Nyla in that.
Well, I'll
respect.
defend her more than Nia, but
yeah, because that's not. There's no real evidence of that. Yeah, is there sloppiness? Yes, but she's not dangerous.
Okay, how about this?
not reckless like Jack.
Reckless. There you go.
Nia Jax is outright reckless. And not with just one or two people. Everybody who's worked her at least once has had some sort of weird scare.
Well, we know why she's still employed.
Well, my issue is just like you're dropping the golden goose on her fucking forehead while her significant other is in the other company. Like,
yeah.
I don't know when her contract's up, but
Wait, who?
Charlotte.
Oh,
So you think there's some accidentally on purpose shit going on there?
it wouldn't shock me.
I mean, it came out on Russo's show, that the reason why the Harris twins were fired from WWE is because they were told to fuck up Legion of Doom and they didn't.
they got fired because they were Nazis.
Exactly. Had nothing to do with anything other than the fact they're fucking Nazi assholes.
I want to jump back into that battle royale.
Yeah.
Please. We don't want to talk about the Harris twins.
It's a hard segue. Let's get back on track for a second. I'm glad they actually pulled the trigger and let Ruby win because it's ride the hot hand. I think it's a good idea for them to do to follow through on the momentum that they have right now. The only thing that I didn't like was the finish to the match, and I'll tell you why. and I'm guilty of it too because I've even had the guys here use a similar finish locally. You know that little thing where they drag each other over the top rope, the whole like Benoit fucking finish with Big Show from 2004.
Yeah.
Everybody and their dog has used some sort of finish or used that to set up their finish or whatever they're doing. Fuck, it's dumb. I would have fucking rather seen Ruby duck and person fly over a rope or something something simple, not this whole fucking dragged out thing when you're doing the same thing all the time. I get it, you're trying to build some suspense, but if you're gonna do that, don't do the same thing that's been done on like the largest platform like 800 times. Do something different. This is a company that's apparently supposed to be creative and different and offering different things, and that was really dumb for them to do anything like that finish.
Here's my problem. And now, first of all, I gave this match 27.5 stars.
I loved it too. That was my only complaint about it.
I mean, come on, women's battle royal in my zone, multiple Asians, duh. My problem with the match isn't about this particular match, but it's with all the casino battle royals in general. Is it creative to do it the way they're doing it? Yes. My problem is they need just even a few more seconds between each person coming out, because everyone's trying to get their shine in within 10 seconds. So you got somebody like, Anna Jay was a great example. Coming back from injury, she comes out there, she gets a half a move in, and they're already introducing the next person. If they gave it like maybe 15 more seconds to let them get a mini shine in, I think it would have been better.
I agree, because Tay Conti had the same thing happen to her.
Yeah.
She did like a quick move, and then all of a sudden, boom, another.
They're like the whole, what was it? Spades was the last thing. They didn't show any of them coming down the ramp.
Right.
They just focused on the ring, and I thought they showed all the other suits coming down, but they didn't show the spades for some reason.
They had to.
It's fucking spades.
Well, I mean, we're waiting for Shayna Baszler to show up, obviously. If that doesn't happen, by the way, if she leaves WWE and goes to AEW and she does not debut the Casino Battle Royal as part of the Spades bracket, I'm done. I'm quitting AEW forever.
Oh, wait, hold on. The Joker's a wild card. It could be anything you want, right?
Yeah, but it can't be Spades. She's the Queen of Spades. God damn it.
Called that since like 99.
She was called it in NXT.
Well, she was called with that in her MMA career.
Yeah, she was.
Like
she's had it forever.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, point being, great match. Could have used a little bit more time in between the actual entrances, but other than that, cool. I'm glad Ruby Soho is in AEW. The emotion, and that's something that I want to touch on a little bit more here, is that throughout this entire show, for me, it was a lot of like butterflies in this show. And it came from literally match one. It felt like that everyone was putting their all into it. It felt like the matches may not have been, million-star matches throughout everything, but the emotion was there. Having Ruby, after winning that, grab Bryce and hug him, it did something to me. It showed that there was this bit of emotion that you don't see in WWE anymore. You get the excitement emotion, but you don't get the emotional, like that hard feeling of just verklempt and just choked up and such.
You could see she was holding back tears coming in.
Yeah.
And it
She
wasn't
stopped for like a second and a half.
Yeah.
And took a big, gigantic breath and grabbed her jacket and turned around.
There is. Now, we'll probably talk about all the debuts in AEW, but in terms of one of the stupidest choices to let go, Ruby Riott is up there. Like, probably number one. Only because if you look at it not just from her perspective as a wrestler and as a performer, but also as a trainer, Heidi Lovelace is an amazing trainer. And to let somebody like that go when you're trying to bring in new talent that in theory doesn't fit the indie mold anymore, why the fuck would you let her go? If nothing else, to give her a full-time trainer role in NXT.
Maybe she didn't want a full-time trainer role in NXT.
Maybe not, but you could also have appeased her by having her go on the main roster. She was still working main roster shows.
Yeah, but in her entire career there, like, she barely was even a mid-carder.
Exactly.
Like that.
I 100% agree with that, but to not see the value in her and toss her aside very similarly to a lot of other people just blows my mind.
I don't think it's that they didn't see the value in her. I think it's that if you look at what WWE has collectively done over the years, that they have a pile of talent that are all very, very good. There's not too many WWE talents that are terrible. So
My answer to you is this. How many women are on the roster right now?
how many women?
Yeah,
I don't know.
on the WWE roster.
I can't count.
It's under 20.
What?
It's under 20 across the three brands.
Does that include NXT?
That includes NXT.
Okay. So, like, what's
My
mean-
point being is that of
you're saying
all
because
the
she's female, she's easier to notice the scope of talent that's standing out. Is that what you're saying?
that's part of it. The other part is that you have somebody who's not a normal in terms of generic beauty.
Right.
Let's put it that way. She
Okay.
has her own unique look. She has her own unique style. And most importantly, she has the skills in the ring to back it up.
Right. But are they going to justify the contract to have her there? Because at the end of the day, you know.
Okay, so here we go. There are 19 women on the roster. On the main, well, this is not right at all because Mickey James is underneath this list for some stupid reason. Charlotte, Bayley, Alexa, Asuka, Becky Lynch, Sasha. Alexa, Natasha. I almost fell backwards. Carmella, Bianca Belair, Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler, Lacey Evans, Liv Morgan, Eva Marie. Those are the main roster ones. Two of them, for some reason, are listed as being there, but they're not, which is Mickey James and Billie Kay.
There's other women that are not listed there.
Yes.
Um,
There's 17 on the main roster. There's more in NXT.
what about Dewdrop? She's there.
Yep, Dewdrop is there too. Yeah, so there's more than 20, but I think Sleazy's point is,
Yeah, the Sleazy's point still stands.
yeah,
I think when you get into you're looking at a numbers crunch, and yes, if you're not looking at something specifically from a female to male ratio, it's like a top-down approach. You're just looking at numbers on the piece of paper and contracts, and you're just trying to offset certain things. It's kind of like, okay, is she marketable? Are we going to be able to get the money back on her? Well, I don't know. And like, I don't think that it's almost like WWE treats their wrestlers like plumbers.
here we go.
So I'm going to bring this up, and y'all can call this sexist if you want. Ruby Riott was never going to work in WWE. When minus Luna Vachon, name me another time there was a prominent woman with tattoos that held a title.
Arlette,
Charlotte Flair.
Lita?
Lita was a good one.
That's probably only it.
Alexa Bliss.
It has all white tattoos. Can't see them.
Doesn't matter. They're there. Lawyered.
Of course he'd pull the lawyered. To be and to be fair, I agree with Dietz's point though. I do.
Yes.
Because look at what happened.
Do you think? Here we go. Here's the situation. Do you think they saw her as the female CM Punk?
I don't think so.
I wouldn't doubt for a second that they thought there was an inkling there. But I don't think that they would have seen her lash out like Punk would have.
Right. Okay, we got to move on here. We're running a little.
Yeah.
By the way, Casino Battle Royal, it was an okay match for a house show. That's my thought on it. It was still better than what I thought it was because the other women's Casino Battle Royals were terrible. Chris Jericho versus MJF, 19 minutes, 30 seconds. Kent gave this 3 3/4. Tell me why MJF is like the best heel AEW has right now.
Talent is transmissible by asshole.
He's the best heel they have right now. It's not even fucking close. Not even close.
It's next to Britt Baker. He's the next best talent they have.
He's the best heel they have.
He's the best heel they have. Yeah.
100%.
To me, it's the next best talent they have.
Oh,
Period.
Oh,
Just
talent. Yeah.
period.
okay. Yeah, I mean,
Sleazy's assholes then talent by insertion.
I also think they don't use him. Oh, they don't overuse him, so like they're not overexposing him. So
Right.
that's helping too because he's only on there for key moments. He does wrestle, but not very frequently. A lot of times you get a nice little segment out of him or a little back stage thing. But they don't overuse his wrestling on television, which I think is really good. So that's amazing, and I think that's helping him out a lot too.
All right, so my quick thoughts on it. I gave this 3.5 stars. I thought it was another really good match. It was great ring psychology. The dusty finish I thought wasn't needed.
100% agree on that.
And it wasn't needed, and it made the ref look stupid, which is a common theme in AEW. The refs just they look stupid or don't care. And it happens.
I will give her. To be
it
fair,
happens later on in the show.
I
They're
will
putting
give
the
her
heat
credit.
onto the ref instead of where it's supposed to go.
If you watch the entire part of that segment, you outright see her never see his leg.
Right.
So
No,
I will give her that. Well, you say that, but there are many times where the ref will ignore it for the finish.
But then the only reason Jack Hager came down was for the referees to come down to notice the spot.
I agree.
It
was
that
dumb.
made it stupid.
It was dumb. The actual spot was dumb.
It was dumb.
For once, they didn't have her look at the leg and go, no, it doesn't matter. Because that's happened before in AEW.
I love the match, but I'll tell you what ruined it for me. Going back to that spot with the ref bump, or not the ref bump, but the distraction. When MJF hit Jericho with the weapon, apparently the ref backstage didn't see that, but he could see the foot on the rope afterwards.
Right.
Yeah.
And it didn't make sense to me. Like, it's okay, the ref's backstage picking and choosing his spot to come out, and it's like, okay, so you couldn't come out and be like, that person should be disqualified now. You know what I mean? And it just didn't make sense to me. And I was just like, what the fuck? And that's where I go back and I kind of agree. Not necessarily that the dusty finish wasn't needed. I think they did the wrong dusty finish because they should have never incorporated a second referee.
Just had her reverse it?
Yeah, had her turn around and notice it and reverse it because that way she still didn't see what happened before. Still falls in the line of logic. But we had the other referee come down and question it. The referee, if they're watching the match, they had to be able to question the other stuff that happened during the match. So it just made everybody look fucking stupid.
I agree.
So
Match itself was good.
Yeah.
It wasn't blow off your socks amazing, but you know, I thought MJF's heel work was amazing, and I don't think anyone will disagree with that in here. But once again, it was meant. I understand why they did it because they were trying to elicit that response. But
Yeah.
the way they did it didn't work.
You have Jericho, who's been in business for over 30 years. You have MJF. Yes, he's newish, but he's been around for a few years. And you couldn't get them to make the crowd believe that Jericho was going to lose that match. You had to do Gaga. That was my only thing.
I think it was I think conceived in a different way, I think it would have worked. I just don't think it worked the way they did it.
Okay.
I'll just leave it there.
Deets.
I got nothing to add. To me, it's a typical Chris Jericho match. 3 stars.
Okay.
Call it a day.
CM Punk versus Darby Allin. 16 minutes, 40 seconds. Ken gave this 4 stars. Speaking about a couple matches ago where Travis was bitching and complaining about people stealing shit from other matches, this match was pretty much Bret Hart versus 1-2-3 Kid.
There's a lot of elements to it. For sure. It's an adaptation. I wouldn't say it was...
Yeah, no, I'm just fucking around. Like, I personally don't care.
Yeah.
I gave it another 3.5 star match. I thought it was really good. Punk did 100% look gas. That's why you saw the extended rest holds. I don't think they did him any favors going around 17 minutes. But it was, again, a really good match. Once Punk gets more matches underneath his belt and once he gets his cardio up, I think we'll see the CM Punk of old.
It's definitely going to come out. I don't agree with necessarily you with the rest holds just deliberately dragging the match out because of cardio, though. I think that if you're CM Punk and you're really smart, which he is, he was looking at that entire card and who was on that and what they were doing, and he was like, I need to go the complete opposite direction because I'm going to look just like them if I don't. And I need to stand out. So he went the old school wrestling rest hold route, and I with a couple of little tiny spots that stood out for Darby Allin, like that little bump to the outside through the corner, which I loved. I thought the way that the match was put together really showcased those big moves because it wasn't big move after big move after big move. People got to absorb it. And I think that the whole thing was designed by CM Punk. It was done right. It was done smartly. I loved it, every bit of it. And that match, you're going to hate me for this. If I were to rate it, I probably would give it 5 stars, but I'd be biased because it's CM Punk's return debut, put it over the top for me. But all in all, I do think it was probably one of the better matches on the card.
I 100% disagree with you about the rest holds. They did it because Punk has had wrestled in 7 years. Like, I don't think it was by design, but it was also not.
So you don't think CM Punk would look at everything else going on that card and like, we need to do something different?
Not when he hit. No.
I 100% think you're wrong on that, man.
I don't think he cares.
He doesn't want to be like anybody else. He wants to do exact opposite of what other people are doing because he wants attention. He's like, that's the way he's always been. There's no way. I could see him doing it if people had all rest holds the entire night. But, like, I don't know. We can agree to disagree on that one because, I mean, obviously we don't know how good his cardio really was. You could be right. But I just feel like CM Punk is as smart as he is in the way he's always carried himself. That's the way he was. He would look for some way to stand out.
He even came out in an interview saying that his cardio was shit. So that's what I took from it because his cardio was shit.
Okay.
So
Aside from the Dookie cardio, it was a good match.
yeah, we're not just
It was a good match.
saying it wasn't.
No.
Sleazy.
From an emotional standpoint, this is one of the high points of the show for me. I think that the truth lies somewhere in the middle between Fat Man and Travis in whether or not the match was paced out the way it was. I wouldn't doubt for a second that Punk was a little gassed because it's a 17-minute match. He hasn't wrestled an actual match in front of a crowd in 7 years. I give him that fucking benefit of the doubt anyway, even if he was completely gassed. It's not easy, especially at his age, to do this at a high level. That being said, Punk would be a fool not to take a look at the rest of the card and go, we need to do something different, especially with a kid like Darby Allin whose entire career is, I'm going to fall and jump and make myself look like a fucking rag doll the entire match. That was not a normal Darby Allin match. And to both guys' credit, it turned into probably one of the best matches of the night because of it. Because you got to see a different side of Darby that you wouldn't have normally seen in other matches.
Okay, so I'm going to lawyer you. Last week we covered Samoa Joe coming back, which wasn't for long, about 18 months or whatever it was. He's the same age as CM Punk.
Yep.
You shit all over him for his conditioning,
Yep.
but you're not shitting all over but you're giving CM Punk the benefit of the doubt.
I'm giving the benefit of CM Punk the doubt because the difference is 7 years.
7 years, 18 months. What's the difference?
That's
lot.
a fuckload of time.
That is a
It is a
lifetime.
fuckload of time,
That is a
but-
fucking lifetime in
you
wrestling.
can't compare 18. You can't compare
That's-
18 months to.
And 18
7
months,
years.
18 months while being around NXT.
And a performance center.
Exactly.
While being hurt and can't wrestle,
Yeah.
You still can work out.
Punk can still work out, lawyered. I'm just saying, like, I am
But does Trump
Go.
does Punk have the legitimate best training facility that has ever been created, and literally, and you're walking into the door every single day? No.
Jogged every day.
But granted, he does have Rufus Sport there where he does work out, which is the best MMA gym basically almost in the United States right now.
And
Next
he
to
did other
American
things.
Top Team.
There's the other thing is that he was working out for other things between those 7 years. That's the other thing, is that you're sitting here comparing a wrestler who took 18 months off while being around wrestling versus Punk, who basically said, I probably won't go back to wrestling, doing other stuff, and then coming back to wrestling. It's like The Rock coming back and tearing the shit out of his abdomens during the first match he came back because he forgot that, oh shit, maybe I should be doing a different kind of conditioning, a different kind of weightlifting.
There is a difference between being in shape and being in ring shape.
Exactly. So it's apples and oranges in that respect, I think.
Nope.
Nope.
No.
You're
Being out of the
fucking
ring
wrong.
For 1 year
okay?
compared to being out of the ring for 7 years.
Hey, let's talk about this terrible match that's next.
Conditioning-wise,
Why don't we talk to
It's the same
JC
thing.
Money, who's doing the same fucking thing right now in UPW?
We can talk to him.
He's been out for 5 years. He didn't think he was coming back. Let's talk to him after this first match. And the difference is, he's in there. He'll probably do 8 to 10. He won't do 17. And he's with an opponent that would carry him to anything. Whereas in this particular circumstance, Punk's got to carry Darby.
So I'll flip the script again in favor of Punk here. Punk also had more pressure on him than what Samoa Joe did,
That's fair as well.
I'll give you that.
right? So I mean,
Yeah. I would say that too. If you don't want to be a mark, listen to this.
On to next stuff.
No, he needs a moment
Oh.
to cry because he was wrong, but
No, my girlfriend keeps texting me this shit. I'm not wrong because
he's absolutely wrong. And
1 year,
knows
7
it.
years, 18 months, you're conditioning shit either way. You got to get in the ring.
7 years, dude.
Don't matter.
Do you
Don't
know
matter.
what I was doing 7 years ago?
This fucking show.
Exactly.
wow.
Look how much better we've gotten, you fuck.
We haven't.
Exactly.
Paul White versus QT Marshall.
This
Move on.
this
Why
was
this
the
even
worst
on
match.
Why was this even on the show?
So people can get popcorn and take a pee.
Took earlier.
Dietz has got it right there. This was a
Yeah.
popcorn match and a half.
This is the popcorn match where you got to refill your beer, you got to take the pee, you got to grab the last call for alcohol.
Gotta go take that shit that I should have took earlier, like I said.
Yep, shit. Yep, this was your break. Remember when wrestling used to have a break, intermissions?
Yeah.
I miss intermissions.
Indie
Dude,
shows still have them.
Intermission so much. I wanted like some of the venues here were running local wrestling shows. They actually won't let us do an intermission because they don't want the fans up moving around, getting congested and stuff like that. So like we've been running straight through. We get like a half hour or 45 minutes beforehand for autographs. Then we run straight through the event and everybody's out the door after.
See, we can't. We were doing intermissions until the state decided that we now need a paramedic on site, and the paramedic charges by the hour. So,
Yep, get the fuck out.
You guys have needed a paramedic on site for a few years now. This is pre-COVID.
yeah, this was a few years.
Yeah.
Garbage shouldn't have been on the show. I don't care what anyone says. It's trash. Speaking of trash, AEW World Championship, not the championship, but this person, Kenny Omega, champion
Al Snow.
versus. I would take Al Snow over Kenny Omega any fucking day.
Absolutely.
21 minutes and 20 seconds. Ken gave us 4 stars. Don't know why.
Because he needs to be in the same line as our favorite friend.
And this is where the terrible officiating comes back. There should have been multiple DQs, multiple countouts, but they don't do that in AEW.
Yeah.
Just makes their refs look like shit.
Yeah, and like, dude, to be honest with you, you can get away in a title match with the referee allowing leeway if they're out chasing down the wrestlers, trying to get them back in the ring and discouraging them. But the problem, like, trying to encourage them to get back into the ring. But the problem is they do that every single fucking match.
Yeah.
So
And they're just standing there like, okay.
But the thing is, it really ruins it for somebody when you actually do a DQ once in a while or a countdown, because it's like, what the fuck? If you're going to go like 5 matches on a card and you don't do it, then you're just going to pick and choose just because that's the booking. Like, you know what I mean? It just doesn't make sense. Like, you know,
Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah.
it just ruins the whole thing.
But I still think the match was good. I gave it 3 stars. It was not better than the Rampage match. The officiating was distracting. AEW really needs to stop making their refs look so fucking stupid. And we knew the outcome of this match weeks ago when Christian Cage beat him for the Impact title. So,
Yeah, it kind of foreshadowed this.
but yeah, cool.
Next to QT Marshall, Paul White. This is the worst match of the entire fucking card. I hated all of it. I thought it was bland. I thought Christian Cage. And I love Christian. I thought he looked horrible.
The crowd was dead. Once they got to that match, they died.
They also didn't care.
Yeah, because they
To me,
they
it
knew
looked
who
all off. Like
they knew who was going to win. Like,
It wasn't just that.
Much credit here, but I think it's like when you put Chris Jericho and Triple H on after Rock versus Hogan, nobody cared. I feel like CM Punk should have been the main event that night.
There's a couple of things in play. That might have been one of them. I think the other thing was that this was a foregone conclusion. The only thing that people were waiting for wasn't the end of this match, was who was going to walk out.
afterwards, yeah.
And I think it kind of killed the crowd. I love Tony Schiavone, okay? But and I love Christian too. And I know there's going to be people that are going to jump on my ass for saying this. But when Tony Schiavone said Christian Cage is one of the top technical wrestlers of all time, I just about laughed.
top potato thrower of all time.
What? What are you talking about? Christian is a certified Hall of Fame wrestler. Okay. I don't consider him a top draw in the world. Okay.
No, these are the top technical wrestlers. It's a bit different saying top draw.
I can name 20 top
I
technical
don't
wrestlers
put
better than
him.
him.
I don't put him top in either.
Fair enough.
Okay.
I don't either. I'm just trying to make the distinguish, yeah, and also you're trying to get a guy over too, right? So, not that he needs to be over any more than what he is, but he might have been using the wrong terminology. But I get what he was going for. I mean, Christian is more of a scientific-based wrestler than, say, Edge or a lot of top people that came around that era. They're all more flashy, and while Christian has charisma, his work rate was what was relied upon. He was a utility guy, and I think that's kind of what he was going for. I'm not saying he was a Bret Hart or a Chris Benoit or anything like that. I'm just saying, like, when you consider who he was around and the scope of people at the time, there weren't too many technical wrestlers outside like Benoit and Kurt Angle that were work rate oriented, really.
Okay, fair. But putting him in all-time status up there with the Lou Theszes and the
Trying to put over
Frank-
a guy that works for the company. Like,
it's pushing it, man. It's pushing it.
so he's doing his job. And let's talk about the commentary and how awful this commentary was the whole night.
Yeah, it was.
Like when Minoru Suzuki came out, they had Minoru Suzuki on the fucking screen, and then all the commentary goes, I wonder who it is. Who is it? I don't know who's coming out. Who is it? Who is it?
Okay, to be fair,
That's Minoru
I will-
Suzuki on the screen.
I will give them.
There's no fairness. No fairness at all.
Watch this.
None.
Watch this.
None.
Where's the commentary booth?
They are watching this. They're right next to the stage where they can see the fucking screens too.
I can't read that
you.
big writing.
It was, and then
Excalibur's got a mask on. Damn
in
it!
this match, they're like, "Oh, remember when Christian had neck surgery and came back? What are you talking about? That's Edge, you dumb fucks!" Like, they were fucking up all night. I'm just like, oh,
Yeah, I will agree. Don't worry, it's great Botchamania fodder.
Botchamania is going to have a lot out of that, though. Yeah. He's pretty ruthless with their stuff.
The match itself was fine. It wasn't great. It was a foregone conclusion, as everyone
Good for a house
said.
show.
What's that?
Good for a house show.
Yeah,
you're saying it wrong.
it's an okay match for a house show. And
Star.
Any match that we'd have on most of our indie shows, so
I mean, yeah, like I said before, this entire match was all about what
Getting
happened
to the
after.
end.
Yeah, so it served its purpose in that respect. It was a way to get Kenny Omega out there and get
So-
another title win.
Let's talk about it. Then Luke Gallows and piece of shit come out with the Young Bucks and beat up Christian Cage, and then Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy come down, and they get no, that's a lie. No, they do come down, right?
They do come down.
And then Adam Cole shows up.
Oh, Chugs! Chugs is here!
But I do find funny they did a seance to bring him back on being the elite.
Yes.
That was kind of funny. I giggled about that.
There's going to be some very big sadness, though.
Anyway. And then he joins the elite because, obviously.
Matt Rushmore, obviously.
And then they continue to beat the shit out of everyone, and then Bryan Danielson shows up,
In his new merch.
white t-shirt. and
Recyclable.
join forces with Luchasaurus, Jungle
So
Boy.
pissed they didn't have the final countdown.
Well, let's be fair here. Which would you rather have? The money to license the Final Countdown by Europe, or remix his WWE Fed, which is free in the open
Yeah,
library.
it's a free IP,
That's a no-brainer. That's absolutely no-brainer.
but apparently, like, forgive me, is it Europe?
Yeah,
Yes.
Asked for a ridiculous amount of money.
almost certainly. And honestly, it's all for the better that they're using Flight of the Valkyries.
Flight of the Valkyries was cool. I like how he almost went for the like double, and then he just magically just stretched his arms out and just
It's because he didn't know if he can use it or not.
Yeah.
glided it back down. I just thought it was I'm like, don't do it. Don't. No.
But
WWE lawyers are like, watch this. Wait, what? Watch him? Watch him?
does WWE trademark the word yes?
Probably. They'll try it.
They'll try it.
They'll always try
Well,
it.
if anything, they could have did it with Adam Cole, but Adam Cole's been Adam Cole since early 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
He's owned that shit forever. Christ, when he was doing indies around my way.
I wasn't surprised if he got. I think we talked about this when he came in, that he kept his name like Samoa Joe did,
Mhm.
and AJ Styles did. But yeah,
Oh.
we're running way long on this shit.
Yeah.
Overall thoughts: it was AEW's best show
Ever.
ever.
I think we can all be in agreement on that.
Yeah,
That's
if from pay-per-view of the year wise, wrestling wise, I wouldn't say so, but if you put everything together with the surprises and the presentation of everything, it could possibly be pay-per-view of the year.
right now it's top 3 right now.
I thought SummerSlam was pretty good. For me right now, SummerSlam would be a close second, but yeah, that definitely is number 1 right now for me.
Sleazy.
In terms of wrestling, I 100% agree with all of you. In terms of emotion, in terms of historical significance, in terms of
You could feel the seismic shift.
it,
You
I don't
get that
want
in
to.
wrestling.
I don't want to say that AEW is taking over WWE's crowd, because that's not happening. Okay.
Okay, and I
But
got
no.
and-
I don't.
No.
I want to let me finish my thought here,
Okay.
because it's very important that I make this point. In my opinion, this is probably the most emotionally satisfying show I've seen since we started doing the wrestling show. I also believe that this shows that for a lot of professional wrestlers and for a lot of fans, there is now officially a legitimate contender, a legit alternative to watch that isn't WWE. We haven't had that since, frankly speaking, WCW closed. Ring of Honor tried it, didn't really get anywhere. Fuck's sake.
WWE signed all their wrestlers.
Yeah.
That's
Impact
what
tried it
happened.
with Hulk Hogan. That failed.
Duh. 'Cause who
New
wants to watch
Japan
Hulk
was
Hogan?
trying, but they weren't really going to get into the U.S. market as much as to even become the second biggest company. But we now have a company that is loaded with money that could actually be a legit alternative. And that, from a fan perspective, excites the hell out of me. And it also excites the hell out of me in the fact that you have guys here that are legitimate top tier superstars, former top brand champions of their prospective previous arenas. When was the last time Bryan Danielson held the WWE title or the Universal title? Wasn't that long ago.
A couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're not talking some old washed up has-beens. And I'm going to, frankly speaking, throw CM Punk in that bucket. It's not a fair comparison, but it's still a comparison I want to make just to make my point. There are people that are legitimately top tier stars that are coming to AEW and being big deals. And that's exciting to me.
In fairness, how old was Hulk Hogan when he went to WCW?
Right. Actually, wasn't it like the same age as Punk is, right? Yeah.
Right?
So
like, and look what Hogan did. He literally flipped the script and turned everything upside down with a couple of other people, right?
right.
So I think that's a fair comparison to what's going on right now to a certain degree, but there's so many more avenues today to make money. I want to talk about your part about the whole thing with company being loaded with cash. I don't think that's as relevant as you think it is, because if you look at all the top companies that exist right now, they're all owned by billionaires. I think the difference is that you have an owner who's actually invested in the product for wrestling's sake, not just money, as opposed to the owners of, say, like Impact, the Aspen family, or the people that own Ring of Honor.
Sinclair Broadcasting.
They're more so looking at it as streamlining content only, and they don't really give a shit. So I think that's why AEW is the bigger company of the ones that aren't WWE, and why they have a bigger chance of becoming something relevant like WWE, because they actually have someone that cares about what they're doing. And he's got a lot of stuff that he needs to learn, but I think the fucking passion is there and the money is there. And when you put the two of them together, he's basically a younger version of Vince McMahon.
I will say that this though, with Impact and Ring of Honor, yeah, you're absolutely right. The opposite is true with New Japan, because they don't have the money, but they do have the talent and the mindset for it. And I think you need both of those to be able to be a juggernaut in the U.S. in a economy of billionaires, in an economy of Vince McMahon doing 21-hour days every day, thinking about wrestling, being wrestling, and also having the money too, with multiple billion-dollar contracts in terms of TV deals. Yeah. Fat Man, you wanted to jump in after I said something.
I liked how you didn't use the word competition and use the word alternative, because AEW is not WWE's competition. And here's why. The same people watch WWE is watching AEW. The same people watching AEW is watching WWE in like a grand scheme of things.
80%.
Yeah. So, and they're not head to head, which, whatever.
Yes.
It would be stupid to go head to head, I think.
You can't do it yet.
And I'm not saying that AEW wouldn't even thrive under that situation. I just don't think they should do it at all.
I 100% agree with that.
There's no point to it.
They already did it.
It was stupid.
Yeah, but that's the third brand, though.
They went up against NXT.
Yeah.
And then stole their top talent.
And then NXT moved because of the NHL.
And then they purged everybody, and then
it's not like they won the war. It was because...
Yeah, but did they really win the war? Yes, because they got Adam Cole, baby.
So...
Go ahead. At me, motherfuckers. At me.
Won the war because they basically killed off WWE's third brand and made it into something different.
Well, they're going back to what they want to do.
They didn't kill it off, though. I'm watching it right now.
Oh, it's coming. That whole...
Even if the NXT name still exists, it's not going to be what it was. And
I totally disagree with that.
Let Johnny Wrestling go.
They're not...
Get rid of Ciampa. Just get them over to AEW.
The whole point of NXT was to get guys that they signed who weren't experienced in wrestling time on TV and in front of live crowds. That was the point. They brought some people into NXT, like Tyler Black and Al Generico, to redefine some shit, and then they were brought up to the main roster several months later. They weren't down there for 5 years like Cole was.
No, and WWE
Johnny Gargano.
Ring of Honor was really hot, and they just wanted to. They were like, "No, that's our shit. It's our playground." Get the fuck.
So I totally disagree with NXT's dead. It never really, to be honest, were we spoiled? Hell yeah, we were, but we were too spoiled.
The problem is that the thought process of what NXT turned into was partially because of Dusty Rhodes.
True. Gentlemen, on that note, I have to leave.
All
I
right,
appreciate your time.
Deets,
Thank you guys so
for
much.
coming on.
I appreciate you.
all right.
Good
See you,
fortune to
man.
everyone.
Good
I
night.
appreciate you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Be easy.
Yep.
Cody Rhodes is still number one.
What a mark!
Wow.
So, but the whole point with NXT was to get, and then they shifted from that to sign all these name brand indie talents just cuz. And now they're going back to what it was supposed to be. Will it be different? Yes, but it won't be but it'll be back to what it was supposed to be,
Which was developmental.
which was developmental.
And I agree with that. I do.
It was never really supposed to be this tour. Like, they were supposed to tour, but really only in Florida. And just to get in front of live crowds and house shows. They're never supposed to come to Rochester.
from a man that went to three NXT shows in this area.
Mm-hmm.
That's the last. I don't think I've gone to a main roster WWE show in 5 years. That wasn't a pay-per-view?
Well, that wasn't a pay-per-view. I think it was the Raw we went to 2006.
4, actually. We went to
I went to a SmackDown in like 2008 or 9.
we went to 4 NXT shows. Albany, Rochester.
Oh, I forgot about Albany.
Yeah,
it's an okay show for a house show.
Yeah. I went to St. Catharines, Ontario, for one. And then I went to the Riverworks for Buffalo.
Yeah.
With Michelle. So I've actually been to so many, basically every time they toured around here, I went to their show.
Yeah.
And that says a lot about WWE because they've been here multiple times and I didn't even think about going to those shows.
Well, I think that's the other problem too for WWE. I think they consider NXT a hindrance to their main programming. It's like almost like a distraction because a lot of the hardcore independent fans were catering to NXT, but like, this is our brand. But then they didn't give a shit about what was going on Raw and SmackDown because they had their NXT, and that was a character.
Also, at the same time, there were people who watched Raw and SmackDown that didn't watch NXT. So when these guys got called up, they didn't know who the fuck they were. So they had to get reestablished on the main roster, like, which is still going to be true either way, I think. But to say that NXT is,
because sometimes you can bring a guy up and they have such a following.
That's true.
And then they try to change them, make them something that they're not, or they put a costume on them, make them look completely fucking stupid. Or, but like, if they had brought them in the right way, it would have never happened. They just kind of gave them a little bit more freedom or whatever to take what was happening in NXT, had a guy who had some buzz, or even not even NXT, just brought him in off the street, who had some buzz on the and just skip over NXT altogether and just bring him in. Capitalize on momentum. They didn't do that, but the one or two times they did were like one time it was AJ Styles.
AJ Styles was a big one.
Yeah,
Adam Cole didn't need to be in NXT.
Never.
Red Dragon didn't need to be in NXT. Samoa Joe didn't need to be in NXT. Johnny Gargano didn't need to be in NXT.
Ciampa didn't.
Ciampa didn't need to be in NXT. There were so many people that did not need to be in NXT that could have gone right to the main roster.
Ricochet's first move in a WWE ring was a fucking springboard 450 onto the floor. And that happened in NXT.
I don't know why WWE dropped the ball on him. There's nothing wrong with that dude. He, outside the fact that he's not like almost 7 feet tall and jacked to the gills, like I can't like. He's a good-looking guy. He wrestles any style, any style. He can wrestle that flip-flop style. He can wrestle a really good, solid, basic match. He does have good psychology when they want to have him wrestle that style. He can literally do everything, and I don't understand why he's treated the way he is.
I can tell you,
He's so marketable.
he
So-
is. He is. I can tell you from a personal perspective that Trevor the person is one of the most soft-spoken people that you'll ever talk to.
That's probably why.
And it was,
Not aggressive enough.
I mean, yeah, the man can do anything in the ring. But in terms,
take that ball and run with it.
that is the last person he is. It really is. And I think the reason why he got such success in New Japan had nothing to do with him being aggressive, and it had everything to do with having the right opponent to bounce off of. In that particular case, literally,
I was
Will
just gonna say
Ospreay.
that.
So I think his success. He was successful despite his demeanor, and in WWE there is no such thing. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Like when Vince McMahon looks at talent too, he wants to know what they do in their life so they can like pull something from it. And if you can't give him anything, he's just whatever, see you later. Like Mrs. from the Iconics asked for a meeting with Vince when she finally got it. He asked her what she did for a living when she wasn't home, like what she liked to do. Oh, I'm not working. I just like to sit on my couch and watch TV. And that's what she told him. And Vince, I could just see Vince behind his desk or wherever he had been like, what the fuck is this? Like, you know what I mean? Because that would be his response. Because, like, what's exciting about that? How can we market that? How can I pull something from that? Is there anything in your life that, like, is noteworthy that we can put a stamp on and try to pull from that? What are your strengths in your life? Your resiliency, like, you know, what makes you resilient? Well, not sitting on your couch. Like, you know, and all of a sudden she's released from her contract. So, like, I don't know. Maybe like there's a lot of people there like that, or like Ricochet, who are just like come across as really apathetic and don't really give a shit. I don't know. I don't know the guy, but he might be complete opposite. You know what I mean? What I'm thinking. But if you're describing him the way that I think you're describing him, it's almost like he doesn't have enough gumption or enough fortitude to be trying to get himself over. He just goes out and wrestles for wrestling's sake, and this is what I do, this is what I love, but that's it.
Have you now, as a promoter, you talk to a lot of workers, especially guys that are coming up.
Yep.
One of the big things, at least in this area, and I'm not going to name names in this respect, because I know that they would like their privacy and something in this respect, but one of the biggest things that I hear in the locker room is, well, I don't want to ask somebody else to give me an opportunity. I want them to see what I can do and ask me in. And that is probably one of the biggest mistakes you can make, is that you as a professional, and I'm not even going to say just as a wrestler, but in a lot of lines of work, you are only as successful as the people that will help you become successful.
Yeah, it's not only that, it's also a little bit of entitlement, and I'm not saying anything there's like wrong. You know, I'm not saying to be mean to people, but when you have a bunch of people that are sitting across from you or having a conversation with you, and they're like, "I want you to come to me," and then they're surrounded by a pile of people who have everything they have to offer, and then some. And if they do have something that the people on my roster don't have, it's not like I can't immediately find it by making a quick phone call somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
So it really has to be about what they can offer and try to do, as opposed to sitting back and having me come to them, because I like. Well, I'm going to come to them for practical stuff that everybody can do. You free today? Help me lift this hunk of metal ring because it's fucking heavy. Like, you know what I mean? It's not the stuff that I'm going to go to them for is not talent. It's practical things that steer a ship straight.
Right.
That's where their value lies. You know what I mean? I can replace their talent. I can't replace hard work.
And that's one of the things that Bob Evans preaches. You know, you need to give yourself, provide value and provide, you know, be able to say, okay, yeah, I also wrestle, but, you know, I can also help with this. I can do production. I can do, you know, papering. I can do all sorts of different things.
Yeah, and that's a lot of it, man. Like sitting down, listening to people, and say like a lot of them want you to come to them as a promoter too, because if you're coming to them asking them, "Hey, do you want a booking?" or "Hey, can you be here for me?" It's almost like they get to decide their rate or what control they have, because then it looks like you need them. Mm-hmm. So it's almost like a control tactic too.
Yeah.
But the thing, and that works if you have something to offer.
If you've got name value, then that's different.
Right? That works if you have something like that to offer. But if you don't have it, you can't use it.
Right.
And a lot of people think they have it and they don't. And there's like people that they look good on a poster because they work out. But they rest on that, so they don't do anything else because they look good on a poster. Well, fucker, you're resting on your laurels just as much as the fat guy down the street. As a matter of fact, he's probably got more to offer than you because he's helped you out with 4 things, and you just look good on a poster.
Yeah.
So, you know, you can't rest on your laurels, and that's not a wrestling thing. That's everything in life.
Yeah, that's a business thing.
Has something to offer.
Yeah.
Right.
So let's wrap this up for tonight. This was one hell of an episode, that's for sure.
It's because I was thirsty.
Yeah. So Travis, what's your Twitter? What do you got to promote?
Got a couple of wrestling shows coming up. I actually have a show on Friday. I don't know when this is going to be put out, but
After that.
Okay,
Yes.
so we won't bother with that one. I do have one that's coming Friday, but I also have my next show that you guys will hear about on October 16th. It's Bash at the Brewery 2. We're back at the brewery at the KTV Brewery Tap Room here in St. John's. You can catch all of our info on that on newevolutionwrestling.com. Facebook, New Evolution Wrestling NL, Twitter at NAW Wrestling NL, and Instagram, just search New Evolution Wrestling. That's pretty much my social media.
Cool. Dietz, who was on earlier, his Twitter is at Legendary Dietz still?
Yep.
Okay, cool. I'm at TWS Sleazy on Twitter.
TWS Fat Man.
And the show is at Sleazy Fat Man on Twitter and Instagram. You can catch us and so many other things on GearNetwork.com. Also, check out the Gear Network Twitter page, as well as follow JC Money on Twitter. He's a great follow. Check out All Bets Are Off with Robbie Vegas on Sundays after you listen to us Saturday mornings at 8 a.m. on your favorite podcast network. Am I missing anything? I should write this down one of these days.
The Fat Horseman, we ride again. There's an ROH show this Sunday. I will try my best to watch it, seeing as how with my days getting switched off, I only will have Monday off next week. So I got so much shit I got to do. But we'll try to get a Facebook Live post out one of those days to cover it.
Cool. So with thanks to Dietz, who left us earlier, and thank you, Travis.
Thank you for having me again. I appreciate it.
And as always, for Sleazy,
For the Fat Man.
this is The Wrestling Show. Thank you guys so much for listening. Peace.
Fuck Kenny Omega. Fuck Nick Gage. Fuck Dave Meltzer. A hot dog's not a sandwich. Sleazy, you a bitch.
I'm the truth that you seem to run from. I'm an army of one. I'm a clip in your gun. I'm the pain in the game. The bloodshed in your name. When there's nothing to gain, I'm the world gone sad.
The preceding presentation has been brought to you by the Gear Network.